there are some crazy ass people out there that you do not want in your inner circle. And before we tell you who you do want in your inner circle, we just want to give you a little buffet of people that like you don't want. Like if there's people like this in your life, you got to change the people that are in your life. Hello, I'm Sam.
I'm Brandon.
And this is the Middleton Methods podcast, where you get to be a fly on our wall to gain practical tips, get insight, and laugh at our expense.
Hardy, hardy, har.
Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode this week. We are on episode 40.
Woohoo! Yes! That's exciting.
We're 12 weeks away from a whole year.
Whoa! That's insane.
Our podcast anniversary is right around the corner.
And actually, our podcast anniversary, or whatever you call it, is probably sooner, but our first few, we're getting the wheels greased up and turning, and it was like a little spacey at first. I think it was actually November when we launched. What is it going to look like? It's January now, but hey, right at the end of the year.
That's right.
Ooh, we'll have a podcast party right at the beginning of 2018, because that's going to be right around the 52-week mark. That's exciting. 40 weeks.
Awesome. Well, start us off with the madness.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're still smiling.
Yes.
We're still having fun.
Yep.
More and more people are sharing our podcast and getting tons of value, which is so motivating. So Thank you. It's so motivating. And you get to share a piece of our lives and help us do something that we love to do. And that totally was not in our notes at all to talk about today, but I felt like it was on my heart right in that moment. So thank you so
Save it for the actual year. I'm sure we'll have a very special 1-year anniversary.
Wow, we should do some big giveaway.
Ooh. Yeah. Stay tuned.
The Middleton Madness.
Yeah, kick us off. We had a great weekend. That was kind of delayed with birthdays because of the hurricane.
The hurricane, yes. So it was nuts because I felt a little bad at first because we had like 20 kids coming originally to Peyton's party.
Yeah.
We had to push it 2 weeks. We just had her party last Saturday, and there were like half the kids there. But you know, I just feel like everything happens for a reason. We had...
Indeed.
Awesome time. I think if there were 20 kids, because this is the first time we didn't host her birthday party at home.
Yeah.
We went somewhere. We went to this huge bounce house
easier.
Place. It was so easy. They took care of literally, they have a deluxe package where they feed them, they take care of the balloons. All we had to do was bring a cake and bring the kids, and that's what we did. And they took care of the rest, and it was like this all-inclusive fee. We knew how much we were spending. I think we actually ended up spending less doing that. The only downfall, in my opinion, is that it's only 2 hours, so it's quick.
Yeah, 2 hours ain't as quick as you think when you got a bunch of kids running around.
I think if we had 20 kids there, it would have been chaotic in 2 hours, because I'm just trying to give every parent that spent the time to bring their little ones, and they don't leave. You know, the kids are so small that they don't leave, and we're friends, so we're all just hanging out or whatever. And you want to make sure that you're giving each parent a little bit of time, right? Because some people drove hours to get to the party just to spend time because they love us and they love Peyton and the kids love each other, and what a good feeling. But it still is crazy. It's a lot to do in a short amount of time. But the kids loved it.
And it had to get scheduled because it had to be rescheduled. It was rescheduled on the day of another friend's birthday, so we had 2 birthday parties.
It was literally okay. And what you don't know, because this is like behind the curtains mom-wife stuff, is everybody that had RSVP'd, yes or no, you're welcome. Everybody that RSVP'd, yes or no, I had to reach back out to and be like,
oh, I know.
Change of plans. Like, hopefully you can make it now, or can you still make it? And so there was like it was crazy. At the end of the day, it was amazing. Peyton loved it. She got the frozen cake she wanted, and that was really the only request she had. Every year, her request is what her cake's going to look like. That's what it's been for the last 2 years. So it's good to know. She's not asking for tons of presents and craziness. She's just like, this is the cake I want. If you give me that, I'm a happy girl. So they got to bounce on these crazy bounce houses. Then we went into the second room, and they turned off the light. We paid for this glow package or whatever. It was like an extra $30. And
black lights, like
black lights and glow necklaces, and the kids were like, whoa! It was so much fun for them.
Yeah.
And then they went into the party room and had pizza and cake and fruit and hung out for a minute. It was a good time. And then...
And I didn't feel like I had to like watch the kids because they had like staff, and obviously the doors are locked.
There's a ton of parents. Yeah. I know. It was almost like a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, even though it was a crazy breather. But yeah, we could actually have conversations with the adults.
Yes.
That is the number one reason to do this. The kids are having so much fun that you can actually engage in a conversation and not be like staring down the whole time. That was the number one reason to do it. Yeah. But it was crazy. Afterwards, there were 2 couple friends of ours that came with their kids for at least an hour drive for one, and the other one, you should only take a little over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. It took them over 3.5 hours to get to the party. They showed up 30 minutes before the party was ending, and gosh, we ended up just inviting them to the house for a bit. So we're like, just come over.
We had an after party, which was supposed to be nap time. So the kids
before this other party, so that the kids didn't go crazy at the other party. We just took our chances. We rolled the dice.
Yeah, and it was good.
It ended up going great, and then we went to the other party, had a fun time. Boy, the Max was so good. Usually I have all these crazy things to say about that boy, and he was so good.
Maybe it was all the sugar. Maybe it had an adverse effect.
You know, our friends have this really cool playroom at their house with tons of toys that he doesn't usually get to play with. And he literally just, whether there were kids in there with him or not, he just wanted to spend time sitting in there playing. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a more perfect son that day. He was so good, and he listened really well. He was just an angel. And then we basically put our heads on the pillows and fell asleep. I don't even remember falling asleep. I was so tired.
Yeah, me neither. It was exhausting. But
and
the
kids didn't even fall asleep on the way home. Like, I remember they stayed awake the whole time.
At the end of the day, just being like, man, that was a really good day. You know, the relationships and the people, and seeing, you know, it's so important that the kids have a good time while the adults are having a good time. It was just like, love seeing them, you know, happy and engaged. And obviously we got to have good time, good conversation with friends, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and it just kind of leads into what we wanted to share with you guys today, because there's been a lot of talk in our inner circle about our inner circle and who are the type of people that you have in your life. A lot of people say, we hear a lot like online, social media, at events and stuff when we go to them, that people have a lot of negativity in their life. There's a lot of negative people around them, and negative people are literally toxic. So we've spent a lot of years, and we have gone, it sounds like weird, but...
We did a whole podcast on negative people.
We did.
And how to deal with them.
We did. Yep. I don't remember what episode number, but it was dealing with negative people, I think was the name of it. Really
but on the more positive note,
title there.
I'll say we definitely wouldn't be where we are in business, and more importantly, personally. Like, our marriage has literally been not just us figuring it all out alone. Mm-hmm. Like, I know we say like we didn't have family, so a lot of examples, so we had to figure a lot of it out on our own. But there were some very key breakthroughs, kind of transitions, different milestones that if we didn't have some of the people in our inner circle, even if they were just some people to lean on, or, you know, support, or, you know, in downtimes, people to just kind of be there with you, we wouldn't be growing. We wouldn't have had the growth in the amount of years that we have, both professionally and personally. I agree.
Now, I do want to say, though, because let's not sugarcoat this and make this sound so rah-rah. Like, we're so happy for the relationships in our life. We have some amazing people, just amazing people. I mean, I know you just said it, but I can't stress enough how amazing they are. They help us on different areas, right? That's what we're going to talk to you about today. Like, different people serve different needs, and so there's different types of people in your inner circle, and we want to discuss that. But I do want to hit first that we've had to go through numbers to get to this core circle, and sometimes this circle does change as life changes. Things change for different people, and those people do kind of come in and out sometimes depending on where you are in your life, so you have to know that up front. But let me tell you, we've had to go through some numbers. There are some crazy ass people out there that you do not want in your inner circle. And before we tell you who you do want in your inner circle, we just want to give you a little buffet of people that, like, you don't want. Like, if there's people like this in your life, you got to change the people that are in your life, because they are these are some of the, so we didn't really talk about, like,
change the people you hang out with, or change
the people you hang out with.
Change their mind, or change their behavior, which is way harder to do, or you just
change them.
Change the people
because if they're not serving you, how much longer is that taking you to get to your goals when you have somebody literally holding you back, or literally trying to drag you down, or they are judgy or opinionated or whatever. I could go on about this forever.
That kind of sounds a bit selfish, and you and I have definitely struggled with this. You're kind of the yin to my yang.
Are you calling me selfish?
No, I'm saying I feel selfish when I'm like, oh, we can't help everybody, or we can't, everybody can't be in our inner circle, or, I want to love on everybody. I want to be, but everything, we only have a finite amount of time.
That doesn't mean that you don't love on people in your circle.
Yeah.
But you don't have enough hours in a day or enough trust and there's a bond with people in the inner circle. Yeah. So if you think about it, I'm like looking at your eyeball right now and I can see it in your eye. Okay. So think about your inner circle as an eyeball. I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you were finishing that point, you could go right back to it. Your inner circle. So if you look at the eyeball, you have the white space. Right? That's like everybody that you come across in your life. They're just in your circle. They're in your bubble. If you come across them, they're in the white space. And then you are the pupil, right? That's you, right in the very center. And then all the colors surrounding the pupil, that's your inner circle. It's like a weird concept, but I'm looking at your eye like, ooh, I could see the inner circle right there.
I understand the relation. But no, seriously, real quick, before we get into some examples of people you don't want, why is it even important? Someone watching this is maybe thinking, well, that's selfish to be like selective maybe about who's in your inner circle, or like we're about to give some examples of people that you may not want in your inner circle, right?
Yeah.
So if someone's like, well, isn't that selfish? What would you say to that?
I mean, is it just somebody trying to be argumentative? Because who doesn't want good, positive people that motivate them and take them to the next level in their life? So I look at it this way. If somebody in your life is negative, that means that maybe there's somebody else in their life that could motivate them or inspire them to grow. And you may be holding them back from doing that. So I talk about it very selfishly, but in a selfless manner too. Like when I notice that people aren't the right fit in my life, more than likely it's reciprocal. I'm probably not the best fit in their life either. And by trying to make a relationship work or staying around people that are negative and holding you back, like who is that preventing you from inspiring and reaching? So I always look at it as, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this with our friends, our group of friends. We talked about this in our, even in our Bible study, like the people we come around on a daily basis, right? Like there are people that build you up. There are people that drag you down. Yeah. And anybody that's stopping you from your greatness literally is stopping you from impacting or inspiring a life. And I look at that hugely with our business model because we're podcasters. I couldn't go talk to a negative friend about all the negative crap going on in their life and then turn on the camera and like be as positive and cheery and motivated.
Energy drink. Like we have a certain amount of energy. Yeah. Right? So there's people that charge you up and there's people that drain that energy. And once that energy is drained for the day, you don't have the energy to maybe even forget business. Just even if I get off of a really tough conversation with someone that I feel like I'm serving, but they drain me, then
that just walk took away right from in the something
door.
Else.
Yeah, I walk right in the door to family and stuff. That comes at a cost. So we're just saying be aware of it, and don't be afraid to get those. Separate.
Well, let's think about it. Let's think of some people in our lives. Past, present, future, or made up, or whatever. And then you guys think about the same thing. Think about some people in your life that maybe could not be in your life. Like, it doesn't mean that they're not in your circle still, right? We're just talking about the people you connect with the most. You're the average of the people you spend the most time with. So do you want to be the average of greatness, or do you want to be the average of... Average, or worse? Do you want to be the average of, the negative Nellies and the... broke mentality people that don't want to go take their businesses, their lives, whatever to the next level? Like, I think about this a lot. This is how we originally started doing these transformations. We would go to events and feel so empowered and inspired and meet amazing people, and we would stay in touch with them afterwards, and they would be excited about our businesses or just say like how much they loved the dynamic between me and Brandon. And then we would go home to our old hometown and we would be around people that just wanted to go spend their evenings at the bar, and they fought with their spouses, and they were comparing, like, why aren't you more like Brandon, or why aren't you more like Sam? Like, and it was like a different vibe.
Complaining about their jobs.
Or they even had kind of like a snuffed
about
attitude around us about, you guys are changing. You're changing so much. And we're like, all right, I think we're changing for the better, but you're making me think that maybe I'm not. And it's, right? So like there was a difference. And then we go back to an event and be like, wow, this is amazing. So, and literally as we shifted the people we were around, it transformed our lives. I mean, we would not be where we are today.
And still does.
If we were at the bar every night with our old hometown friends.
Still changing.
Yes.
Yep,
exactly. So
give us a few examples.
All right.
Before we jump
I
into
wrote a few
the
down.
8 types of
So let's talk about the obvious, because we're married. So I really don't like to hang around couples that don't get along. We looked a long time for, and even if you don't get, we don't get along all the time, but if we're going to hang out with friends, the last thing I'm doing is Brandon bashing, talking negatively about him, telling them any drama that's going, and I just don't want to be that. That's not the dim light I want to be for somebody. Like, we have 98% of the time this wonderful marriage that's thriving, and I want to be that for other people. And so that's the type of energy I want to bring around. Mm-hmm. But for sure, that's the type of energy I want around me too. Yeah. So who do I not want to be around? Okay, you want a happy and thriving marriage just like we do, but you're constantly hanging out with people that lie and cheat on each other, or they're on the verge of divorcing. You do not want those people in your inner circle. Yep. They are not good for you. They are toxic. They're always talking about how they don't want to be together, or they're talking about cheating, which is against every grain and bone in my body. It's just hard to be around those conversations without maybe one or two here and there is like, oh, okay, I can handle that. But you're talking your inner circle, people you talk to maybe a few times a week, and to listen to that stuff all the time, does that start to shift your way of thinking about things? Do you start looking at your spouse questioning, Brandon's taking a business trip next week. Should I be concerned? By the way, I'm not. But, in the past, relationships like that have affected me mentally, where you could go away and I could be wondering or, doubting or whatever. Like, when I'm around people that are in good marriages, that are thriving, I just trust you. Like, I trust you wholeheartedly. I feel good when I'm around you. I feel good to be around them. Like, their love inspires my love. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I'll pick up something like, it's not like, oh, why aren't you more like, I'm just trying to pull a name. We know so many people with so many different names. Oh, why aren't you more like Joe? But I think like, oh, look at what Jane's doing for Joe. That's really sweet. Instead of wishing we were more like Jane, why don't I just take that tidbit little thing that she just did for Joe and go do it for Brandon, and secretly, and then Brandon's like, ooh, that was so great, and it's awesome. So it's
do I really do that?
You do. You go like this. Great. You do. You do that dance all the time. Okay, another person. You want to lose 20 pounds, and your overweight friend offers to hold you accountable, but they don't own any running shoes, and they clear a large pizza a few times a week and have no intentions on stopping. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be the best person for you to be around in your inner circle to help you lose weight, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like a silly example, but it's so true. Like, when you're around...
they may fit into a different category, like cheerleader or like the others that we're going to get into. So I'm excited for you to kind of talk about those different...
Okay. All right. So let's stop talking about types of people, because I think you get the point by now, the people that you don't want to be around. You could just have negative friends, or people, even coworkers, which is where it gets a little bit trickier when you work with people. Mm-hmm. If you maybe have a lot of differences in lifestyles and stuff, you may want to keep it very work-oriented, because they will fit into one of these categories down here, but you are spending a lot of time with them. And quite frankly, if you don't like the people that you're working with, you should probably find new people to work with. So here are the people that you do want in your inner circle.
All right.
These are the magical people. So get ready to take notes. Magic, you're that. You want to start us off, or you want me to read it and then...
No, you read it. This is inspired from our book, and
You're giving me a shout out. I wasn't even going to share that.
Yes, because you are doing a good portion of the writing. You are way better of a writer than I am.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, these are concepts that we obviously agree on and stuff, but you've explained them so well. So I want you to take us through them, and then I just have my kind of side comments or questions.
Okay, and we'll try to run just to save time here. We're doing pretty good, but
all right.
The creators. These are the builders, the motivators. The creators of your inner circle will help you determine your strengths and weaknesses, and will show you how to best utilize what you have to get to where you're going. They will also show you where you can improve and either give you the confidence to grow where you're lacking, or show you where to find the tools and people that will complement these in the areas you are weak. They will help you visualize what is possible, and they'll give you the utmost faith and encouragement that you will see your vision through.
Love me some creators.
Yeah, I think those are probably our favorite people, right? Well,
I don't know. Our inner circle, I love them all.
I know, I do. But
because they all serve different, roles.
We're builders and we're highly motivated. So the people that can help us fill in the gaps and stuff are magical people for us, because we do fill a lot of that, being the opposites of each other. But there are still some, even collectively as the two of us, there's some things that we're still missing. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate those creators. They're really close to the collaborators, but there's a little difference on them.
They're not always easy to find, I would say. Would you agree?
No. These are really highly motivated.
In our experience, they've been harder to find.
I'd say these people are probably more on the business side, right? These are the people that you'll find at masterminds, right? Not necessarily a regular event, but like a retreat or a mastermind. These are the people that really they're like next level thinkers, and there's another type that's a next level thinker as well down below. But these guys they're
that's very different than the next category,
which is a cheerleader, right?
Those are easier, can be a lot easier to.
These are like the 8 C's of your inner
come
circle.
By, right?
The 8 C's of your circle. Woo. All right. The cheerleaders. These are a lot easier to come by, I think. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're your biggest fans. They stand up for your beliefs and share them with everyone they know. You may not share your deepest moments with them, but they stand behind you and cheer you on through life. They get excited for your successes and love to celebrate your victories with you. Through it all, they continue to root you on because you inspire them to what is possible in their lives if they want to push for greatness.
Yeah.
We have several friends.
Gosh, you guys watching this? Those of you that
definitely
are sharing and supporting.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the cheerleaders.
The ones we haven't even met yet, right? Or the ones that are just like commenting or
sharing
hitting the
podcast.
share button. But
yes, you guys are amazing.
Don't think we don't see that.
I know, right? And I encourage you guys, while we're going through these, if you think of people in your head that are these people, write them down. And some people may possess several qualities. That's okay. Just write them down again. It's good to know that they have different qualities that you can depend on. So write these people down.
And since you just took a moment, this just a sidebar. This is important to know, because you may think someone is, not a good fit for your inner circle, right? Or there's someone that maybe you don't think you should be spending a lot of time with, but they are, because they don't maybe support your business. And I think this is probably the most common thing, right? People are like, they're not, these people don't want to be in business. They don't want to be an entrepreneur like I do. So, we're not like-minded. So, but they're a friend that you grew up with, right? Well, they could very easily be a cheerleader. They could support you. Doesn't mean that they have to be in that, doesn't mean that they have to be an entrepreneur as well. They may have a day job. They may be happy with their corporate job, but they support or respect what you're doing, and that's the only role that they play. So I definitely, just to echo what Sam said, write down the category, call it cheerleaders, right? And then put those names next to it, the first names that come to your mind, because you may quickly realize that, this person's in my life I thought was, maybe on the outskirts, but they actually really serve my inner circle really well.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That only strengthens your relationship when you see that connection.
Okay, we have the correctors. These are probably going to be what you would consider the most challenging people to have in your lives, but that's because they challenge you. So they're actually very...
So they may not always give you the warm and fuzzies?
No, but when they challenge you and you go through those, embrace them, you embrace these people, you actually grow a deeper bond with them, because these are the guys that want to stretch you. They take your ideas, they push you to think beyond the limits that you've set for yourself. They introduce you to new opportunities. They help you to dream big. They don't let you settle, and they won't let you get comfortable. These are the pushers. Yeah. Embrace so you can these resist people that. Into your life.
It can be easy to resist that.
Yes.
Why are you telling me to do that? I'm not comfortable with that. Well, that's because you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to stretch and get outside that comfort zone.
Right. So I think that a lot of people actually will push correctors to the side because they are the more uncomfortable. No, who wants to hear somebody tell you you can do better, but somebody extremely close and trusting that really truly loves you is going to be a corrector. Mm-hmm. And not in a way it's not like you're doing something wrong. It's, hey, I do this with you all the time. For years, I'm everything of these in this list for you, I think, but and vice versa. Yeah. But for a very long time, you used to say I wish I could speak or something someday, and you were really insecure about it. And we used to hear people like Jim Rohn and stuff, and there's so many qualities when I listen to Jim Rohn. I think you believe this more and more. You're like the Jim Rohn 2.0. You're up and coming, and you're the next Jim Rohn. And I've been telling you this for years, and it's taken you a long time to catch up to that belief process, but
I'm just going to keep putting
I'm a corrector, and I've been stretching you to think beyond what you could even think was possible for yourself, because you never thought that you could I remember we tried to take a public speaking course in college, and we couldn't even take that one together.
I dropped out of college because of that. The day that I had to actually do a public speech, I was already had one foot out the door. I don't know about this college thing. My business is growing. I'm not really feeling this. And then they were like, all right, your assignment is next Friday. And I went to class on Friday, and then I went to campus, and before walking in the door,
wouldn't even take the class with me.
Forget this college thing. I don't want to do this.
Yep. Yeah, we are college dropouts. I think we've said that before. Once he dropped out, I dropped out. This stuff is for the birds. No, I'm just kidding. It is not for people that need a degree to do what they want to do. But for us, it was for the birds. But yes, so the correctors will stretch you. And so I was always stretching you. If that's what you want, why couldn't you have that? That opportunity is there. I hear you talk to people personally one-on-one, and you're amazing. Who says that you couldn't do that for the masses? And then I would hear Jim Rohn and the way he talks, and I'm I feel like you're going to be like that when you're older. Just this calm, collected, says everything's so smart, and I don't joke around, and I'm calling you Yoda and stuff like that. You say such smart things, and you really do impact lives. And it took you a long time to stretch and open to that possibility.
I'm still stretching.
That's you. I'm going to keep correcting them. All right. So those are the correctors. The connectors. I am not as good at, this is not my strength at all, but there are some amazing people out there. We have a couple of our friends that just right at the top of my head I can think of, Matt and Jason, where they are the connectors. They know everyone, and they're extremely good at building relationships.
Wait, just a quick shout out to YBConnects.
Yes, and YB for sure, definitely.
Using LinkedIn, and he's connected with a lot of good communities. So you want to know, if you don't have any connectors in your life, you check out ybconnects.com. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And my PSA.
Okay. They increase these guys. So here's what YB is for people. Jason, our friends Jason and Matt too, it's the same difference. They know everyone and are extremely good at building relationships. They increase your ability to advance your goals quicker by aligning you with the people that you will need to work with in order to make it happen. They listen and get to know you, and then they quickly work to connect you with other like-minded people in life and business. They bring massive value to your business growth and social circle. Massive value.
Yes.
Massive value. And I will definitely say this is a weakness of mine.
Serendipitous stuff that I'm there have been a few key connectors that have come into our life that very easily could not have.
Yeah.
And I'm super blessed and super grateful for those relationships, because those can definitely be few and far between.
Let's just give an example. We have a connector in our life that we're very close to still, years and years now, that literally at the beginning of our I'm not, like, it takes a lot of work, so you can't give the person like total credit, but they connected us with the right people at the beginning, and then we took those relationships and were able to execute on them to launch our business basically to where it is today. And without one or two connectors like that in our business early on, we were both so like shy as far as business goes that if we didn't have those right connections earlier on, who knows where we would be today.
And young, like we were in a business.
Not only were we
arena
young, but we still looked like babies, so people really didn't take us seriously.
Right.
All right, let's move on to collaborators. These guys share similar goals, interests, and visions that work with you to create a common destiny. You're most likely to spend the most time with these people because you not only understand each other the most, but you also give each other hope as what is possible for your success. They are your biggest inspiration, and they will make you take more action.
They're the ones that you're like, they get me.
Yes.
They speak my language.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if there's really much to expand on that. I mean, you know, there's very few people in your life that like, you just want to be around them. You're like, gosh, how did you even think that way? I've been thinking that way for years. Where have you been all my life? Those people are the collaborators.
Some kindred spirits.
Then you have your coaches. These are the most level-headed of your inner circle. This could be more than likely you probably pay this person to be in your life.
One way or another,
yeah. They know how to take the emotion out of and judgment out of every situation and guide you to the best outcomes for your success. They have the ability to look at the obstacles standing in your way, evaluate all your options, and then guide you down the path of least resistance. So they can basically cut through the crap and help you get to where you're going faster.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're great. We love coaches, right? We have one on the business side with the podcast. So our podcast would not be as good as it is right now if he didn't help us cut through all that, insecurity and crap at the beginning of our podcast to get to where we are 40 episodes in.
Yep.
Who would have thunk we would still, we said we were going to start this podcast and not stop, but, to say it and actually do it is another thing, right? Mm-hmm. Without our coaches, like, who knows where we would be right now. Companions, these are the feeler-gooders. They have you. They have your back through good and bad. These are the people that just always have your back. They're the first people you want to talk to, and they're always there for you. They know how to make you feel good, and you enjoy spending your time with them. They're the feeler-gooders, right?
Feel-gooders.
I can think of quite a few people in my life that are great companions. They're probably going to be around for years and years. They just don't. They don't judge you and tell you what you need to go do. They're kind of like
good listeners.
They're immature. They're like if a coach and a cheerleader had a baby, right? They're a little.
They have companions.
They're a little closer. You have a companion. They're a little closer than a cheerleader, but they're not as black and white as a coach. But they don't like look at your life and judge you. They just are. They're your good support system. They're your good friends. They're your good friends.
Yep.
But yeah, those are your companions. And then lastly, we have the collectives. These are my favorite. I'm like your collective, right?
Oh, 1,000%.
So these friends are your
Am I your collective?
You are 1,000% my collective. Good Lord. What do you think? No, somebody else is, but, good luck. Good luck. These friends are your secret weapons. They possess 2 or more character traits that can flex into one role or another depending on your needs. They are most commonly your spouse or your best friend, or if you're lucky enough to have your best friend as your spouse, this guy.
High five your neighbor.
You're so corny. I can't believe I actually followed through with that. So the collectives, now, I'm challenging you, like I challenged you earlier, to write down names of people. So if you didn't, go back and just listen to that one segment of who those people are and write them down. The reason I want you to do that is because now you're going to know who you have to go to for each of, like when you come up with things in life. You're like, oh, I need this and that. And you can go look at this list of people and go, you know what? It's going to help you get to your goals faster because you know the people in your inner circle that can help get you through those things. So that it's just really good to be aware of what role your inner circle plays. But then on top of it, the collectives, these are probably the people that you want to treat the best. No offense to everybody else, but these people really are special and they're versatile and they're some magical people. So if you see that person popping up in your list several times, and if it's not your wife or your husband, like you need to go do some relationship building with them because they really should possess more than one of these qualities.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because on the flip side, just kind of as a bonus, I would
if you
look
take
at
what
this,
I was about to say out of my mouth, you're about to do it. I
look
see
at
it
these
coming.
categories and see where some of your relationships where you're like, oh, maybe I'm being a companion to this.
Different. This
right?
is different.
Am I being a companion? You know, some of your key
this
relationships.
Is different than I was going to say.
Look at them and look at these kind of definitions and think, you know, am I being a connector in this relationship? Am I being a coach in this relationship? And it can just help.
Wonderful. I didn't even think of that when I was writing this chat. I need to make a note right now. Give me 1 second.
Right now. This is the bonus section of the chapter
Who
that
are
I
you
get to write.
Your circle. Oh, yes. Yes.
Cool.
Your little bonus section that you write. Yes, that's great. And what I was we're collaborating right now. Do you see that? And what I also want to challenge you to do, which is different. This is what I thought you were going to say. So sorry, I was like totally jumping down your throat for what I thought you were taking my idea and you weren't. And that was really wonderful. So sorry. Look at your list, and if you're hanging out with somebody consistently and you did not write their name down for one of those roles,
that's a good
you
point.
need to really consider whether they should be in your life or not. Because if they're not fitting in one of those categories, then they're probably one of those negative, toxic people, one of those dragger downers that we were talking about. Yep. I said probably, not possibly. Okay. They are probably.
All right.
Probably. If we go write a list of names down and we cannot put somebody in one of those categories, they can go to the circle. They can go to the white part of my eye, but they can get out of the brown part, okay? Because those are like my homeboys right there. I need the people that are in my life the most to be one of those character traits, or they can just like be an acquaintance, right? But they don't need to be in my inner circle. They're probably, we're not serving each other's needs if they're not there, right?
Gotcha.
So those are the 7. Go look at your circle. Dum, dum, dum. And let's move on to Brandon's no BS business tips. Very singy today.
I know. You like your little singy titles.
I think it might be my inner calling to be. Well, I always wanted to be an actress, but I can't really carry a tune very well, so I don't think being a singer was not my inner calling at all.
So just let me hit the business tip real quick. Okay. We had I actually had I think 3 conversations this week that all kind of revolved around the same topic. I was talking with a couple of friends who are either exiting businesses or moving into new businesses, and we were having this conversation about this concept of being small on purpose. Right? I love this term. I originally heard it from a real estate friend of ours who's also an educator, and they're not the huge guru. You don't see them on billboards or see them on TV and stuff, but they do a good sized business, but they are very intent about being small on purpose. It reminds me of when we were talking to our financial advisor. He was like, look, when you're about approaching this portion of this business, talking about our agency, and he was like, if you grow 25% more, you're really not going to feel it. If anything, it's going to be almost a little more painful, even though the numbers are higher. So you get to a point where you almost have to make a decision where, am I going, significantly bigger, or do I want to stay small on purpose? So this idea
small is not small, mind you, but the grand scheme of things. Yeah, concept.
Well, I mean,
are you going for $10 million, or are you okay in the $2-3 million mark?
Yeah, or you want to serve.
He was saying like a little bit of a bump. You're gonna be basically paying it out in taxes and probably taking on more overhead and stuff, and taking on more time off your plate and more time away from your spouse, more time away from your family, more time away from vacationing, right? Just to say you make a little more money. So if you're gonna want to go make more money, then you're gonna want to go make like double, triple what you're making currently to see the fruits of that labor. Right.
So that's just on the money side. But more on like the impact side, right? You may be thinking, in like the personal development world, speakers, authors are like, I want to sell millions of books. I want to reach millions of people. And there's nothing wrong with that if you possess, the skills, resources, and so on to be able to do that. That's fine. But I also want to challenge people. You have to go to, 1 million before you can go to 10 million, right? Yeah. You gotta walk before you run. So there's nothing wrong with embracing the idea of being small on purpose, and small is relative. You can be in a space like real estate or an author, some sort of expert. You can serve fewer customers really well and make a good impact without being, a massive Fortune 500 company. So I just wanted to, someone used the term of feeding a machine that just I was like, whoa, I never heard of it that way before. And what I've seen with a lot of companies that we've worked with behind the scenes is a lot of small to medium-sized businesses. They talk about this in the book, Ready, Fire, Aim. There's different phases of business. And when you get past the first phase, it can be very tempting to be like, all right, well, everything that we did to get to $1 million a year, let's just do more of it, and let's just push for more revenue, right? As if that's the only form of measurement, right? More revenue means we're more successful in this business. That's not necessarily true, right? It's really more profit. But if it comes at the expense of, time at home, time with, key relationships, time with family, if it means that you have to, take on a lot more employees, what happens is a lot of businesses that I've seen have gotten into this trap where they build something and they're like, we need to build it bigger and bigger and bigger, more people. And then it gets to a point where you can't, like in the author space or the guru space, right? You create such a big business and a personality that you have to keep feeding that machine, right? You hired on 25 more employees, your responsibility, you wind up in a very different position. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. You want to serve the masses, right? That's awesome. But just be aware of it, because I think people think, at least a lot of the people that I've kind of coached with in business, it's almost like black and white, right? You're either here or you're, to the moon.
Right.
But there's a lot of room in between, and there's nothing wrong with being small on purpose. There's nothing wrong with doing a really good multiple six-figure business.
I know you talk about the impact side, but I've always been the money person of our relationship, and I just want to break it down financially with people too for a minute, so they can see the value in running small on purpose, because this is a decision that we made a long time ago because we didn't want to negatively affect our marriage and stuff by trying to blow it out of the water to make $10 million a year. But we have sat down multiple times on many occasions and could easily have, we have our amount of money that we think we wouldn't really want for anything. I don't need 20 Lamborghinis in the driveway. I have a friend that wants 20 Lamborghinis in his driveway, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those goals.
Go drive your friend's Lamborghini.
Right. I'll just go borrow his Lamborghini if I ever want to drive a Lamborghini, right? But yeah, I have friends that literally want to blow up so big, and they want to have a certain image and style about the way they dress. They want to look a certain way to their audience, right? And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But when we've sat down and discussed things that are important, that's what's important to him, right? Mm-hmm. When we've sat down and we've discussed things that are important to us, it's always been around our marriage. Now that the kids are here, it's about our kids. And most, in my mind, I go, well, what financially do we need to have the things that we want out of life, be able to have the retirement that we want when we're retiring from being self-employed, all these years. We have to work a little harder than just, I think we are working harder than the people that go work a 9 to 5 and just stack up their 401k, right? In some ways. And just what are the bills we think we would have, and just thinking a little bit more long term so that we can work backwards and go, wow, we don't really need to be busting our butts so hard trying to make $10 million a year right now. Like, there's actually a smaller number that we need to hit hit our stats. Right, to hit our goals. And so we just put a definition on what success was to us and put a number on what that was to us. So between those two, collectively, we have this number and this vision of what it would look like to sit back and be like, wow, we led a really successful life, and figured out that we are able to be small on purpose, like in our niche and in our business and stuff, so that we can make a bigger impact on the more immediate people around us.
Now, at the same time, being small on purpose is great and has served us for many years. And we're always pushing ourselves, always challenging ourselves. And that is, I mean, that's Middleton Methods, right?
Yeah.
That's writing the book. But we're doing it in a different way, right? We're doing it in a different timeline so that we can continue to serve and continue to grow.
Yeah, but small on purpose just sounds kind of limiting to me. So I just wanted to make sure to give everybody a different insight that, like, you call it small on purpose. To me, it makes me cringe. I think, I got everything I need in life, so I'm happy, right?
I think the person that introduced me to that phrase was, when I met him, I think his business was doing probably 5 to 8 million a year. He's probably doing over 15 now. But he still is kind of an under the radar person. You don't really, hear the name a lot, but he's smart. His family's very important to him.
I know who you're talking about. Right. It's so funny when you don't even have to say a name, but you can just describe a person and, like, I got you. I know who you're talking about right now.
One of our inner circle people, right?
Yes. All right. So let's move on to the marriage minute because we are running out of time here. And I actually, thank you guys. I put it out there that I wanted somebody to send something in, and somebody did. So Jay in Clearwater, locally, thank you so much for sending in your question. And thanks, Jay. This is a good question. So, hey, Sam. I'm thinking about bringing my wife into our business, but I'm concerned that she'll drive me nuts. Thank you for your vulnerability there.
Honestly.
How do I know if we can work together effectively without it affecting both our marriage and the profits I've worked hard to generate? Which is a very valid point and something that we've actually...
Tell you how many times I've heard that on the guys talking to me.
Yeah? Yep. Really?
Yeah.
Have I held you back?
No. I mean, it's held back from what? I've said it before. I've said it before. I think if I was single, I would be in like a 1-bedroom condo and doing things like
things that take you 4 months now might actually take you 8 though. So I think
it's like to even think to really like entertain is ridiculous.
But I used to ask you that question all the time. Like, I feel like I could be holding you back because I want to make sure that we're.
I would work 23 hours a day.
And
I probably would be like sick by now. I wouldn't be as happy, I'm sure. I wouldn't be as fulfilled. I probably would have made some dumb moves because I would have been thinking by myself instead of, with my collective. Right? So.
Oh my gosh. All right.
But I can see how it's like any relationship. You do have to you have to give and take. When you're only by yourself and you get to make all the decisions by yourself and you can do everything by yourself, sure, it can feel like you worked really hard, you're making all this happen, you get all the right.
We have a friend that's going through this right now. They've been pushing so hard and they make really good money in their business and they're looking to sell it because they've been missing years of their marriage and time with their children and stuff. And how do they go and work more with their spouse to be together more and still, generate a profit? And, the answer for me is how do I know if we can work together effectively without it affecting both our marriage and the profits I've worked so hard to generate? So you just need to change I to we, and just like hiring on.
It will affect it.
I know. I was just about to say that. Right. Just like hiring on a new employee or something, things take time to figure out how everybody's going to kind of fit in together. But think about it this way. What are you losing by not having your wife in your business with you? What are you missing out on? Right. You may think, by far, I think it could have been easier for Brandon to just hire a couple of employees over the years. I say you do. I pay your bills. Because I challenge him a lot, and I've always challenged him throughout the years in our business, or I can get emotional sometimes, but that's because I don't know what you just did, but I saw that little snarky face in the corner of my eye there. I saw that. I see everything. My eyes in the back of my head and on the sides. But realistically, I also can see Brandon's faults, and I'm not afraid to go and tell him where I know he can stretch and grow to get better, and an employee wouldn't do that, right? No. I know what our goals are, and I can make sure that I'm holding us accountable to be reaching for those. I'm not going to, I'm saying that wrong. Hiring an employee is never going to have as much drive and passion as I am about our business, right? And being in that with you, nobody. When it comes to anything, I always have you or the kids or whatever in my mind, and I know I'm an asset. I think a long time ago when we were first starting out, which is probably where you are, Jay, it's an insecurity to think what you might be losing by making the move, but think of what you're losing by not making the move. Yeah. Because you're missing out a lot by not gaining what could be your biggest collective in your business, period. And I'll tell you, I challenge Brandon at very pivotal key moments, even in our business. You want to talk about the financial side for a minute, to make moves that he wasn't confident enough at the time to go make. There were things that he did that he didn't think that he could go do, or clients that he didn't think he could go after, or business models that he didn't have the full confidence that would work. And even just knowing in the business, I may not have had the full confidence it could work either, but I was like, what do we have to lose? Let's go give it a shot. And he may not have made those decisions if I wasn't behind him, kind of, nudging him to go do it. So that's the short of the long. But we did create this fun quiz, because who doesn't love to take these silly, goofy quizzes online, right? If you go to powercouplequiz.com, this is our own Freedom Methods quiz that we made to determine if you can work with your spouse. So
can you do it?
Can you do it? Go take the quiz and find out.
Yep.
Powercouplequiz.com, and I'll just end it there for the day.
Awesome. Well, like we say each week, guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or the recording of it, whether you're on iTunes, or YouTube, however you're listening to us. Thank you for investing the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, sending in the questions. Huge help. And listen, guys, marriage isn't easy. Business isn't easy. Heck, life, parenting, all this stuff is not easy. It never just happens. It takes work to make it work, and we are putting in that work. So take what you want, what you don't want, don't take. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Middleton Methods podcast. Later.
Bye, guys.